And hello and welcome to the Wealth, Health and Mindset LinkedIn Live. And I've got a guest with me today who's absolutely fantastic. And as you know, today we're talking about what do Olympians, the military and entrepreneurs who are successful have in common. And I'd like to bring in someone who knows a great deal about this. And we're going to be chatting about the Olympics, as I've said. And without further ado, I'm just going to bring him in right now, my good friend, David Walsh. Hello, David.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you. And it's so great to have you with me today. And, you know, you've had a really successful career in so many ways. And you were internationally renowned in your speciality, weren't you? Tell us a bit more about that, please, David.
Well, if we're talking about the sports side of things,
Please. We'll start with
I
that first.
so I represented Ireland since 1995 1993 to 2008. So 15 years. Represented Ireland in the Olympic sport of Taekwondo. And had 16 times national champion, 4 British titles in 1 year, international gold medals. Quite a career in the sport.
Yeah, and I mean, they're phenomenal titles, and that's why I couldn't think of a better chap to have by my side today to talk about that. And I mean, I can comment from the military side, but then we can both comment from an entrepreneur's aspect as well, because we both run successful businesses. And you know, I wanted to share as well, one of the things that I always love, that gives me a great sense of pride, is how when a tune is played that represents everything you stand for, like for instance a national anthem, something that makes you, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I remember as a young lad, when I stayed with my granddad at my nan and granddad's house, when the end of the TV came, and it used to be like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, national anthem was played, and my granddad would say, stand up. And I'm like, yes, as a young lad, what do I want to stand up for? No one's watching us. But so what sense of pride did that give you? You know, when you've been awarded the gold medal and the championship, what sort of thing went through your mind?
Yeah, unfortunately, I never got the anthem played whenever I won a gold medal, but I always had it. And funnily enough, I actually always had it on my phone, just in case they were going to play it and they couldn't find it, because our own Naveen, the Irish national anthem, isn't exactly one of the top played national anthems at championships.
It still brings a warm feeling, though, doesn't it, when it's played?
Oh my goodness me! I used to play it, and it would bring me to tears, and it still does thinking about it. You know, so it evokes a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
And having that pride in your country and what it represents to represent your country and what it means to win for your country means a hell of a lot.
And we were, yeah, and I mean, O'Connor, my surname, so I've got strong links back to Ireland as well. So I know exactly where you're coming from. So we were talking, you know, about the similarities between the military Olympians and business entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And we came up with 3 items. There's 3, and they begin with D, each one: discipline, dedication, and diligence, you know, persistence. So
Absolutely.
when you were training, and I'd also like you to cover what you do in business, but when you were training to represent Ireland, when it came to discipline, what did you feel was the real big marker that showed you that discipline was important for your training regime?
Well, for me, I never had the full physical capabilities that a lot of my competitors did have. So I had to work. I
Hmm.
had to work a lot. So for me, like I got a good work ethic from my parents, being, sort of lower to middle class, Irish parents, growing up. They knew how to work.
Hmm.
And so that was instilled in me from a very young age. So not being shy of working hard and working tough definitely helped me with sport, and just being focused on the end result of what I was aiming for, um, revealed what needed to be done. And if it needed to be done, it got to be done. Simple as. There was no getting around it. If I needed to put in more work, more training, more whatever to get to where I wanted to go, I did it. Simple as. That's why I traveled so much. That's why I lived abroad for quite a
Hmm.
long period of time. If I wanted to be the best, I had to train with the best, and I wasn't getting that where I was. So, and that's why I moved. So doing what it took to get to where I wanted to go was one of the things for sure. And it's the same in business and the same in military. You got to do what it takes. Simple as.
And it's the discipline, getting up in the morning, being on time, getting to where you need to be, discipline of attitude as well. Because I remember, because
Exactly.
you know my story from when I was a young lad, when I was 14, where I broke both my legs, tibia and femur, paralysed my arm, left it blind in my left eye, died 3 times, and was in a coma. And
And that was just in 2 minutes.
yeah, and that was before NAFI break. So you know, being hit with that when I wanted to join the military, when I was 18, so I got 4 years, right? And
Mm,
some friends, well, they weren't really friends, but some other kids laughed at me and said, "You're never going to do it." So it was about the discipline. And when I went to the doctor, I said, "Look, I'm going a bit slow here. What can you do?" I went to the plaster of Paris. You know, the people who put the plasters
yeah.
on your legs. I said, "What can you do?" He said, "Well, we can put a heel on both of your plasters." So I was going whizzing along because effectively I had 3 legs because I had my crutches at one leg,
Crutches.
and I could use
Yeah.
my others, and I was flying. And I'd do anything and press ups, anything to get me fit, to get in the military, and then it just
Yep.
continued. And that was about discipline, and sometimes, hey, and I don't know about you, mate, because I know you're pretty hard, taekwondo and what have you, black belt. Uh, I used to cry, because somebody at a networking meeting the other day had a cry, overwhelmed. And we had a chat, and I said, well, it's good because it releases endorphins, and it's just your
Mm,
body protecting you, offloading stress. Does that make sense?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then, I mean, obviously, I know we could talk for hours on this, and we'll probably do a podcast on it. Uh, moving on to the discipline in business, right? What sort of thing do you get? Because when I'm talking to clients, and they say, "Oh, I can't do this and I can't do that," and I say, "Well, what can you do, and how much earlier do you need to get up in the morning to make sure
Yeah.
your regime's right?" And I think you should work, rest, and play. But sometimes, if you want to get better results, it's about making it harder at the beginning so you can make it easier at the end. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, yeah, we've all talked with business owners, and you ask them, well, how are your sales? Oh, it says, oh, I don't do sales. I don't like doing sales. I feel icky or whatever.
Yeah.
But for a business owner, that's the number one thing you have to understand and master. Now, do you have to do it forever and a day? No. But understanding it and knowing how to do it is key for your business. And that's one of the areas that most people fall down on. And they're just basics like marketing and sales. They're just basics 101 for any business, just like fitness and skills are for either in sport or the military. You have to do them whether you like them or not. And I've had clients in the past who they want to outsource as much of that stuff as they don't like, which is fine, But the thing is you have to still have that understanding of what it is, what good looks like. You can, once you got to your business where you're doing six, seven, high six or seven figures, then you can bring somebody in. That's okay, so that you can focus on being what you want to do. But unless you're able to understand what good looks like and able to do it yourself when needed to, you're going to fall down. And this is just like basic physical fitness, and then your skills training. As I said, that works both in sport and in the military. So this is just business 101, and getting those in your arsenal to be able to use is vital for your success.
Thank you. And we're moving on to the second part, dedication, right? And that is a biggie, right?
Yeah.
For me, anyway. I'd like your thoughts on it from a sports point of view, and then we can chat about the business, and we'll look at the military aspect. Dedication, right? Do you just get up when you want to, sort of get to training when you want to, start when you want and finish when you want? Or what's your take on dedication?
I don't know whether this is from my sporting background or if it's just an innate thing that's to me. I like routine. I like to start my day, start working at 6:30 in the morning, and then doing particular work blocks. So I get focus work done, take a break, have another focus work block, take a break. And I find that works best for me. And that's pretty much the same how I used to train as well. I'd get up first thing, I'd go for a run, get my run out of the way, then breakfast or a stretch or whatever, stretch, then breakfast, then a rest, then training at lunchtime, and then another rest in the afternoon, and then training in the evening. And so they're similar to having dedicated work blocks. So that works for me. Now, there are some people out there, a very small percentage, that can rock up, blow the house down, and not show up again, not need to do anything for another couple of months. But those people have that innate skill built in. They don't know how to turn it on, though. That's the thing. They can't use it at will. It just happens when it happens. So for people like me who don't have those skills, I need to work on them, and doing that in a dedicated, focused way definitely helps me improve in that way. And even with the clients I work with, when they follow a similar routine that I do, they find they get so much work done in that short space of time in those work blocks. And it for me, what it allows me to do is just dedicated focus on this one thing for this period of time. I take a break. I can go back and I can work on it again, or if I've got something else that needs to do in another work block, that's it. So it's not overwhelming me. And then when I finish my work, I get to finish my work, just like with training. When you finish training, and you can spend it with your partner, your friends, doing what you want to do.
That's great. That's great feedback. That, because I remember for the dedication for when I was in the military, I remember working as a physical training instructor, and the commanding officer, all of a sudden, he must have woken up one morning. He says, "Oh, I just fancy having the whole regiment through the basic fitness test," and that rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Right? When you've got 900 people who've got to get through a 3-mile regimented training run, which is 1.5 miles as a warm-up, jog and walk, and then 1.5 miles at your fastest. You can't take 900 bods out on a road to get them to where they've got to do the second half. So the maximum we could do was 30 people at once. So,
bloody hell.
And I used to take them on the first half, the first 1.5 miles, and the second half, right? So there were 3 of us, but they used to say to me, "Joe, you do the second half as well." So just divide 900 by 30. It gives you
that's 30 times.
Yeah, an amount of time. It gives you an idea of how much I had to run, and we had to have it done in a week. I was banjacked by the end, but we couldn't say no. It was about dedication, and then what I found is by dedicating, I used to write in my diary. I had color codes. what I had to do, and I would have green for goal, right? Whatever that goal was for that week, it would be green, whether it be physical training or now in business, right? In
Yeah.
business, I know green is goal. Red will be admin, or back then it would have been traveling to a venue, or and yellow is leisure time. Hey, right, that's a great stuff. So that was how I used dedication, and I still bring that across now into business because
Yeah.
I see so many, because we chat about it regularly. I see so many business owners, especially in startup mode, that are not sure how to set the day out. They don't dedicate the time that's needed, because that's a
Yeah.
big thing about dedication, dedicating the time that's needed. Because you have a strict regime, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Like when I'm really focused on getting a project done, I am like ultra focused, just like it was if I was training for world championships or something like that, or Olympic qualifiers. It's just like, this is the goal, this is all I'm focused on, and I just have one thing on my mind. And this is a problem that a lot of people, business owners, face, is that because they don't focus their time when they're working, they're doing 10 different things, trying to multitask, getting none of them done, and then they wonder why they're missing their kids recital, or they're missing the kids bath time, or why their other half is annoyed at them because they're working till 11, 12 or o'clock at night.
Mm.
Instead of getting one thing done, focus, switch off everything else, dedicate your time to completing that one thing. When that's done, then do something else. And what you find is that you get more done by lunchtime than most people will do in a week. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden, you've got this free time on your hands that you've never had before. You've got all of these endorphins running through your body because you're knocking down all of these dominoes. Projects are getting completed, stuff's getting out the door. And it's like, where has all this time come from? And it's just about dedicating your time and focus on the one thing that needs to be done, rather than 10 that doesn't get done at all.
And that's an interesting point, because what I see is when people, male, female, start to get successful in business, and then they realize that they don't have to work as long. They still work because they get guilty, but they're busy fools because they're doing nothing, instead of having the extra time that they've made to
Yeah.
spend with their loved ones or doing a hobby. So it's about
Yeah.
dedication. Identifying how long it'll take to do something, just do that to 100%, and then
Yeah.
let it go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we come on to the final D, which is diligence, which can also be known as persistence or consistency, right?
Yeah.
Once you've got your discipline, right, and you know what you're doing, how long you're doing it for, and your diligence, you know exactly what your task is. How have you used diligence in your life, persistency, to make sure that the results you get when you were a world champion at Taekwondo, and now in business that you do?
Yeah, well, the thing is that you have to be persistent, because you're going to get knocked down more times than you're going to get picked up. Simple as. And it's that thing. Is like, you get knocked down 10 times, get up 11. And it's about getting back up every time you get knocked down, whether it is the military, whether it is sport, whether it is business. It's life in general, full stop. Whatever you do, you're going to get knocked down. A loved one's going to say something that hurts. A customer's going to leave. Somebody's going to smack you and you didn't expect it. Something's going to happen somewhere. You break your leg in 27 places, all these sort of things. And it's up to you to go, okay, that has happened. Okay, let's see what we can do to get around this or overcome this obstacle to get to where we want to go. Because it's not about the obstacle that's in front of you. It's about overcoming or going around it. That is the thing. And that's how you grow. The universe gives you these obstacles and challenges in your life to help you. And if you see them as an obstacle in your face, that's what they always will be. But if you go, okay, this is a learning opportunity, there's something I haven't mastered yet, or I don't fully understand, that I need to learn about and become good at, so that when this happens again, I can overcome that. And in the process, I'll probably be able to help other people do the same too. And again, whether that is sport, whether that's the military, whether it's business or just life in general. These are the areas that we're going to face challenges. Simple as.
Yeah, and my take on the persistency, right? It's the and the diligence. It's when something doesn't go quite to plan, and you're able to look at it and think, right, okay, so what didn't go right? What do I need to do to get it better next time? And then just get on with it and make sure that it's
Absolutely.
an evolving task as it goes on. So because like for instance, right, this live session, right, it didn't go to plan to start with, right?
Yeah.
But what did we do? We just improvise, adapt, and overcome. So our persistency
Absolutely.
meant that we're still able to deliver this live now. And what I love about life is it doesn't always go to plan.
Well, I always look at it that the universe has a a dark sense of humor that when you want something, it'll give it to you, but not necessarily in the way that you're expecting. There's always usually a twist somewhere. And so when that happens, I go, oh, you're playing your little games again. Okay, thank you very much. But what it is for me is an understanding of what did I not put in place that I needed to get what I was looking for.
Yeah,
And so that I always take a step back from the situation and go, okay, so what, like you said, what worked, what didn't quite work, what do we need to do to get where we
mm,
want to go?
yeah,
Simple as.
yeah,
And then it's about putting a process in place to go, okay, mental note, this is what happened when I thought of this or said this or did this. What do I put in place that that doesn't happen again?
yeah. And it's like the athletes who for the Olympics who get the gold or the silver or the bronze because the medal and even the
Yeah,
ones that don't get the gold because you're talking about for three disciplines like the sprint, any of the sprints, the 400 meters, the 100, the 800, and the hurdles, right? The difference between gold, silver, and bronze and the fourth person, is less than 5 seconds for all those disciplines. Five
yeah,
seconds separate all those medals, right, and the people who don't get medals.
yeah,
So when they started training, right, at the very beginning at a young age or whatever they did, and they had this picture, this belief of they want to be in the Olympics, because some of them quite openly said, this is my dream, this is what I've always dreamed of. They brought into play discipline, dedication, and diligence. And the same as the guys,
100%.
men and women who join the military, they do exactly the same. From me being a 14-year-old, from you being a youngster in 1993, right? It
Yeah,
was about having the dream, right? And in business as well, when you start, just make sure you have your goals set out because when you have your goals, because I know you do impossible goals, which is absolutely brilliant because I've experienced it with you. I know what your passion is, and it's about setting impossible goals and then growing into the person you need to be to
yeah,
achieve them. Instead of
absolutely.
setting a goal that's all right and you can get it, and then you get there and you go, wow, yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
what's the point of that?
Absolutely, absolutely, because you have to grow in order to achieve anything of substance. Like I said, if you have this innate skill that you were born with, you rock up, you can do it any day of the week. It's like, it's something I do. Whereas when you have to work at it, you have to grow physically, mentally, emotionally, sometimes spiritually as well. To get there, you are going to appreciate it when you do.
Mm,
And it's those people who've put in more work, more dedication, more effort than anyone else. And when they achieve their goals, when all of that work pays off, that's when that is such a sweet thing. When they get that medal around their neck and their national anthem's playing. That's why they're bawling their eyes out. That's why I would have bawled my eyes out because I know how much work I put in to get there. And the emotion comes over you to go, this is all the crap that you've had to go through, the emotional turmoil, the the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. is all worth it in those couple of minutes when your national anthem is playing and you're on the podium, the world is looking at you, and you go, my God, I did it.
Yeah. And in business terms, the national anthem can be played, but it can represent itself in so many different ways. It can be your bank balance. It can be the fact that you've got time to spend with your family. It can mean you can actually have what you want, when you want, and who you want to do it with. And that is the reward. That's the gold medal for business owners, isn't it?
Absolutely. And also seeing the expression on your customers or clients' faces when whatever your solution is helping them have an amazing life and helping them overcoming the struggles and the suffering that they're experiencing in their life. And they're going, thank you so much. I could not have this life without you. You know, and then when you like they're using your product or solution or service, they're getting results, you're getting handsomely rewarded for it, and that's a double whammy. It's like, I get to do this every single day, I get to help these people, and I get to change lives, and I get paid for this. Holy crap. You know, that's a life anyone would love.
Well, listen, David, it's always a pleasure. How can people get in touch with you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, if you want to look for me, just do a search for David Walsh online. You'll find me on all the usual places, on the socials, davidwalshonline.com. You'll find me there too.
Well, listen, David, thank you very much. You're an absolute legend, and we're coming to the end now. And I know we could talk for ages, couldn't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've got my Paris 2024 shirt on.
So yes, of course. Show that off. Yes, show it off, please. Yes, thank you. Yeah, because in fact, just before I go, what was it like to be there?
It was actually probably one of the best Olympics I've been to. This is my 5th one. So I've been going to the Olympics since 2000 in Sydney, and this is probably the best one, and it was surprisingly the best one. For me, it was the transport was fantastic. The venues were amazing. It was easy in, easy out, which I know for London 2012 was not the easiest thing. For a lot of the venues, it was just a nightmare to get in and out. But for Paris, it was they knew what needed to be done, and they did it.
Right, very good. That's fantastic feedback. A bit disappointing that the French beat us, but there you go.
Yeah, well, they had 12 years to improve on it, so they've done their homework.
Yeah, and they've seen what went well, what didn't go so well, and what they can do to improve to make it good.
Exactly. What worked? What did they mess up on that we can do better? Yes, we can do that.
Yeah. So
and then LA will take what Paris did badly, and there were a few things, including terrible opening ceremony, and go, okay, so what did they do crap that we can do better on?
Yeah. And so we'll wait and see, and maybe we'll go to that together. So thank you very much, David. You're an absolute legend.
Thank you very much, Joe. Great being here with you.
Thank you. And remember, we'll be the next time, maybe with Dave. David is a great person to have on. And I'll just close with saying that to to become, visit joeteams.com. That's JOETEAMS.com. joeteams.com. And until we meet again, have a brilliant evening.